All right, Steeler fans, time for winners and losers, and it's 9 winners and 3 losers. And you might say, Jeff, they scored 32 points. How do you only have 9 winners? Or maybe you think, like, Jeff, my gosh, this is ridiculous. They didn't play that well. How do you only have 3 losers? Well, let's talk about it, shall we? Let's start with the winners like we do after every game. The first winner, how can you go anywhere other than TJ Watt? TJ Watt, 5 tackles, 5 solo tackles. 2 of those were tackles for loss and 2 forced fumbles. In all my time of watching the Steelers, and I've watched every game that TJ Watt has ever played since he was drafted in the first round in 2017. And I can honestly say that I have seen so many different ways that this guy has taken over a game. This is the first, though. I've never seen him take over the game by forcing multiple fumbles and not registering a sack. I've seen him with interceptions. I've seen him with multi-sack games. I've seen him just by getting his hands on the football, meaning batted passes. But I've never seen him force more than one fumble and not register a sack. In crazy stat line. But he said this after the game. He was being interviewed by Evan Washburn on the field. And they asked him, like, what do you think? He said, look, I knew they were going to do whatever they could so that I didn't get to the quarterback. And they did. He said, so I figured I was going to have to make a difference in the run game. And he came in with that Peanut Tillman punch, the peanut punch, twice. Huge, huge plays. And right when you think TJ Watt can't get any better, he goes and does something like this and totally redeems himself. All right, let's go to the next winner. Najee Harris. Najee Harris. Stat line is 14 carries, 106 yards, a 7.6 yard average. He scored a touchdown at 36-yard rumble. That was his long run, by the way. Also had 2 catches on 2 targets for 16 yards and 11-yard long. Najee Harris. I said this on social media. This guy gets a lot of hate. He gets a lot of hate. And the reason why he gets a lot of hate, it's kind of I kind of feel like it's the Terrell Edmonds syndrome. That fans see a player get drafted in the first round and they have these ridiculous expectations because of where they were drafted. Najee Harris cannot help that he was drafted by the Steelers out of Alabama in the first round. He has to live with those expectations, and he does, and he doesn't always live up to it. But at the same time, it's not his fault that he was drafted there. But he had a game that he desperately needed, in my opinion. He had an okay season. He hasn't really had that big game. This was that big game. This was that big game, a 7.6 yard average. Najee Harris has gone over 100 before, and he's gone well over 100 before. But Dave Schofield said this in the postgame show, and I thought it was very poignant, so I'll say it here as well. I don't think Najee Harris has ever gone over 100 in this few of carries. He's never come close to a 7.6 yard average in a game. This was what a lot of fans have been waiting to see from Najee Harris since he was drafted in the first round out of Alabama. Some type of dynamic nature to the running game. When a day where Jaylen Warren could get nothing going, it was Najee Harris that got it going, and I'm fine with that. I said on social media, are we still hating Najee Harris? I just want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. A lot of people are eating crow today, and I'm sure he's enjoying it. The next one, winner, that is Deshaun Elliott. He only registered 6 tackles and 5 solo. But if you watch the game closely, what Deshaun Elliott does. Oh, and I forgot that he had a fumble recovery. And I can't not give him credit for a fumble recovery. Deshaun Elliott is a guy that has come in and he has made the transition from last year when they were trying to do DeMonte KZ and Keanu Neal in this hybrid fashion. And the Steelers finally said, we can't do this anymore. Like, we need to go back to a standard 2 safety set. Let Minka Fitzpatrick do his thing. We need someone that can cover tight ends, play the line of scrimmage well. That's Deshaun Elliott to a T. His tackle on 3rd down in the open field, that's some of the stuff that just goes down on the stat line as a tackle. Like, it just goes down as a tackle. There's nothing special about it. There's no asterisks there. But, man, is it something special. Deshaun Elliott has been a phenomenal pickup for the Steelers. I talked about it in the first half of the podcast as well. Kudos to him. He's on the winner's list. Let's go to the next winner, Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen's been getting a lot of crap too. A lot of people saying this guy is a bum. He's a bust. He's not worth the money. This, that, and the other. I get all of it. But Patrick Queen in this game, he started to shine. He started to show out. You started to notice him. And if you're wondering, how do I decipher some of these things? Because I'm watching the same television broadcast that you are probably at your house or wherever you watch the games. And the one thing you have to ask yourself is when you're watching the game is don't just watch the football, but watch who's popping on the screen. Sometimes players pop for the wrong reason, but they'll pop on the screen and you'll notice them. First 2 games, you didn't notice Patrick Queen. Real quiet, just kind of went in and got lost in the mix. Then you started to see him a couple more. This game, week 6, is when he really started to pop on the screen. 13 tackles, led the team in total tackles. 6 of those were solo, 1 tackle for loss. I really hope that his trajectory continuing to increase, to keep skyrocketing forward. I really hope that Patrick Queen continues on that trajectory. They need him to, and I think it's kind of building up some confidence in himself. So Patrick Queen is definitely on the winners list. Next winner, Cam Hayward. He has a great game. Vintage Cam Hayward, 4 tackles, 3 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits. I talked about this on the Steelers preview podcast last Thursday. And I talked about how we talked about Steelers sack totals. And I said, I think this is a game where the interior is going to have to really dominate. And I thought they were going to do better than what they did statistically. But Cam Hayward finally got home. It's a big sack and a big moment. And it really pushed the Raiders back and kind of ended it. There was no hope of them coming back from that. So Cam Hayward, again, a vintage Captain Cam performance. He's really playing well for his age. And that's a position that a lot of people have said for a long time. You can play well there for a really long time, and he's proving it. So good for him. The next are the takeaways. The Steelers had 2 forced fumbles, an interception, and I'm going to throw in the block punt for sure. And the Steelers were able to turn those into some points. I think they had 13 total points on those 4 extra possessions that they received. But even when you think about like the fumble recovery by Deshaun Elliott, that was the play that was down at the goal line, the Steelers offense doesn't score on that ensuing possession, but they did flip the field. So they were able to get the ball to midfield, a little bit past, I believe, into Vegas territory, and then they punted. Those are field flipping, time-consuming drives. They give the defense a break. They force the opposition into another long field situation. That does matter, even though we always want points off of turnovers. That matters. So, but the Steelers' takeaways, they did not turn the ball over in this game. They have now go back to Dallas. I think they've had 6 takeaways in the last 2 games. Just really good. They're really finding the ball. These things come in bunches. Let's hope it continues. Next, I'm going to give a shout out to Jeremiah Moon on the winners list. Jeremiah Moon, the guy that was activated off of injured reserve prior to the Sunday night game against Dallas. He's probably thinking, I'm just going to come up here and play some special teams and maybe come in situationally and give TJ Watt a break or Nick Herbig a break. Nick Herbig goes down and Jeremiah Moon is thrust into a starting role. Now he's starting a second game, his first start for the Steelers, and he has a big time play. And he didn't play poorly as an outside linebacker. He did a good job in run support, set the edge well. He's not the best in terms of pass rush moves with any bend or anything spectacular, but he comes through in the clutch with special teams. He gets a punt block. I saw someone say this, and I agree 100%. They said it on social media. If Jeremiah Moon can continue to play really good special teams, when Nick Herbig and Alex Highsmith is supposed to be back next week, by the way, when they both come back, you have yourself your 4th outside linebacker, because your 4th outside linebacker is going to be predominantly a special teams player, and you just need him to play in certain situations, and Jeremiah Moon can do that. So kudos to him. He's on the winners list. Next is Chris Boswell. He didn't do anything spectacular. He's 4 for 4 field goals, 2 for 2 extra points. The dude's automatic. But I wanted to put Chris Boswell on the winners list for one reason. I think sometimes we overlook Chris Boswell. I think sometimes we take him for granted. I think sometimes and I can say this, when I see Chris Boswell lining up a 51-yarder, like, it's good. He's missed 1 field goal this year, and he's been asked to kick a lot of field goals. And that 1 field goal, I think, was like a 62-yarder. It was a long kick. And so Chris Boswell deserves to get the recognition. Let's give him his flowers. We could probably have him on this list every week, but I haven't had him on the winners list for a while now. I think it might have been since week 1 when he had all the points for the Steelers against Atlanta. He's on the winners list. Thanks to Chris Boswell. Thank you, Chris Boswell. And the last winner is the third down defense. The Steelers started out the year red hot in third down defense in terms of their rankings amongst the NFL. And then they really got bad the last 2 weeks. And it just so happened those were 2 losses. Well, they bounced back. After that first drive where the Raiders did not have a third down play because they got first downs and scored touchdowns on first or second down, they finally get them into third down situations. The Raiders finished 2 for 11 on third downs. 2 for 11. Third down defense did it. They did the thing. So those are your winners. Let's go to the loser side now. When it comes to the losers, the penalties. The penalties were rough. The Steelers' penalties were rough. Multiple delay of game penalties. We had, I don't think they had many false starts, but it was just holding calls. 7 penalties in total for 50 yards. And that's something that still needs to be cleaned up. Still needs to be fixed. Get it straight. Get it right. You're not going to win a lot of these games with those mind-numbingly shoot yourself in the foot style of penalties. The next loser, injuries, and it's the offensive line again. Talked about it in the first half. You lose Zach Frazier. Zach Frazier was the rock on that offensive line. And everyone that talks about offensive line play, I mean everyone. I have not seen anyone write anything negative about this young man and the work he's done in his rookie season. I hope, I don't think if I had to guess that it's going to be a long-term injury, like he's on IR, but you hope it's not like a high ankle sprain where he might not be back until post-bye. That could happen. They have 2 games, a bye week, and then they come back and play the Commanders. We'll see. But at the same time, let's keep our fingers crossed. Maybe he's back in the lineup next week. But the injuries suck on the offensive line especially. The last loser, the third down offense. The third down offense. I know Dave Schofield he's come at me and he's talked to me about this off the air. And he's like, man, you can't always put them on the loser list if they don't have 50%. And I get it. I understand that. But they were 4 for 13. And I just think that it's the combination of play calling, execution, not able to get in manageable situations, just bad. It's just bad. The Steelers' third down offense just has no rhyme or reason, no rhythm to it. I don't know. I just expect more maybe. Maybe my expectations are too lofty. I don't know. But those are your 3 losers. And I'm sure that people could say that they felt Justin Fields should be on the losers list, but I also don't think Justin Fields would deserve to be on the winners list either. So that's kind of the quarterback play in this predicament. Some people could have said George Pickens could be on the losers list. Yeah, he had some drops, but he also made some big plays. I don't know. I try to be subjective here. It's a tough task because you're telling people winners and losers. But there you go. 9 winners, 3 losers. And that does it for me. Make sure, again, get yourself involved in the Victory Monday t-shirt giveaway. You need to find us on Twitter, the Steel Curtain Network handle at Steel C Network. I will put those out Monday morning. The directions, follow the flipping directions, and you'll be automatically entered into that giveaway. I will announce the winner on Wednesday's Let's Ride podcast in the first half. So make sure you check that out as well. Give steelcurtainnetwork.com a check. It's a lot of good content coming your way. Make sure you check it out again at steelcurtainnetwork.com. We're getting a new look website. Really excited. It's just come at the end of the month or the beginning of November. Can't wait for that. I'm excited for y'all to see it too. But yeah, make sure you check out steelcurtainnetwork.com. All of our podcasts, like today, we got a Here We Go Steelers show coming up with Brian Davis and Coach KT Smith at 11 a.m. Should be great as well. And make sure you check out the Steelers Hangover tonight. That's it for me. You know how we finish these out. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great start to your week. It's a Victory Monday day. Yeah, go enjoy it. We'll see you on Wednesday. Go Steelers.